The Simmons situation has become murky over the last 6 months. A poke from his star teammate and a loss of trust from his star coach after a Game 7 loss in the playoffs this year seem to have sparked a saga that has been carried on well beyond its sell-by date. Now, with two sides too stubborn to change the rules halfway through, it seems this game of trade chess is going to carry on for a little while longer, even if it's to the detriment of both Ben's career and Philadelphia's season. Today we're going to look at the current Ben Simmons situation and how pros around the league are reacting to it. Before we get into all that, if you want to win a PS5 with NBA 2K22 and Madden NFL 22 included, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. A long month for the Philadelphia 76ers as rumors of the departure of their second star, Ben Simmons, swirl as he skips training camp and accepts a hefty number of fines in the process. The news complicates the NBA because of the nature of the matter. Many intriguing voices weighed in on the future destination of Ben, but what's most notable is the fact that the 76ers still seem to hold the power. According to former 76ers star Charles Barkley, while he was at the annual Sixers dinner, he spoke to some of his former teammates and members of the current organization about the issue. He said,
I said, hey, I will call Ben Simmons. I said, hey, if you want to be traded, that's fine. We're not giving you away. We're not giving you away. We're not going to trade you to where you want to be traded. If somebody wants to give us the deal we want, we're not taking 25 cents on the dollar. I've heard all these fools talk about who got leverage. No, we got leverage because we have to pay you. And if we don't get the deal we want, you're going to be playing right here in Philadelphia. That's what I would do if I was the Sixers general manager.
No one would blame Chuck for his opinion, and it's clear where his loyalty lies. Although it was the 76ers who traded him in 1992 for 3 players that would ultimately never have the same impact that Barkley went on to have at Phoenix. Sometimes it's easy to forget what it's like to be a player in the same position 30 years on. But while Chuck's 11 All-Star appearances were garnered under the heading of Philly in the East, he also gave them 6 straight playoff runs with huge rebound and points averages. There's a mutual respect there, which is why he carries such a harsh judgment on anyone who crosses his former team. This is a sentiment shared by many other former players around the league. To make light of the situation, Doc Rivers made a good point when speaking to Stephen A. Smith.
In sports, and you've been around it a lot, there's been so many times that this has happened that hasn't been reported, and the guy comes back. So listen, we're going to go through it. We're going to always do what's best for the team. But I can tell you up front, we would love to get Ben back.
Scottie Pippen was nearly handed off to the Seattle Supersonics in 1994 when Michael Jordan retired the first time round. Steph Curry nearly left the Warriors for the Milwaukee Bucks long before he became a great. Luckily, the trade for Andrew Bogut ended up with a switch for different talent altogether. Monte Ellis, Epe Udoh, and Kwame Brown went the other way, and both Bogut and Curry got a championship together in 2015. Larry Riley, the GM at the time, claims there was never any intention behind the switch. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So sure, Doc is right. It does happen a lot where players end up staying. But do Philly want him back? Joel Embiid was so disappointed in the Game 7 loss to the Atlanta Hawks this year, he slipped up publicly talking to the press about the turning point and problems they had in the game. This showed he was losing faith in him and Ben as a duo. The 7-foot 76ers star Joel gave everything he had this season with 10.6 average rebounds and 28.5 points per game. And when asked if he had the chance to sit with Ben Simmons right now and talk to him, he would say,
honestly, I would probably say I'm disappointed.
The moment a teammate of such magnitude writes you off, there's generally no return. A relationship between teammates is incredibly important, and it's all built on trust. Yes, these two likely understand each other's point of view and have different influences outside of their control. But still, this one interview is incredibly telling because it offers an insight into where Embiid's headspace is at right now. His focus is on preseason and improving. The last thing he needs is the team he's fought to be the number 1 for over the last 5 seasons to get distracted by a player who simply hasn't developed as fast as Philly thought he would. Now, maybe that's as a result of the system, or the coaching, or even the management, but it doesn't change the fact that Embiid is finally acting like he's ready to move on, with or without Ben. Doc, on the other hand, made a clear case following up his previous statement with,
we're going to always do what's best for the team, but I can tell you up front, we would love to get Ben back, and if we can, we're going to try to do that. You know, Ben has a long contract, so it's in our hands. And we want him back.
But what's strange is the fact that just a few months ago, when asked if Ben Simmons was a championship-level point guard, Doc responded in a completely different tone.
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now.
This clearly implies at the time he didn't have faith in Ben Simmons. And when a coach has lost faith in you, particularly after a tough loss, there's no real going back. There's empathy out there for Ben's circumstances, though, as a current Philadelphia teammate, Matisse Thybulle, was questioned on Simmons by J.J. Redick, a former 76er himself. Redick had opened up another Philadelphia saga about their 2018-19 season when Jimmy Butler spoke about stepping in for most of Simmons' plays at the business end of the playoffs. He rocked the boat once again, asking Matisse if he felt that Ben got thrown under the bus this year, to which Matisse responded,
"I made the foul that ended that lost us the last game, and I received almost no, like, there's a little bit on Twitter, but like the Ben hate was so much louder that it
had been growing though.
Yeah, but it's just like, just to build the frame of reference, like it was, I lost us the game, and which lost us the series, and no one really spoke about it. Whether whoever started it, whoever's making it worse at this point, doesn't really matter, but like either side has played a pretty decent role in the situation that we find ourselves in right now."
J.J. Redick followed up with,
I typically don't agree with like the both sides claim, but I would say, like, you know, and I'm friends with Ben and I had him as a teammate and loved him as a teammate. Like, he probably could do more to help himself.
And while the jury's still out among former and present teammates, Shaquille O'Neal offered some advice to Ben Simmons about raising his stock.
I would tell him to dominate. Like, I can give you 28, let's say 38, and miss 12 free throws, but I'm dominating the game, and 70% of the time, we gonna win the game. You still got to dominate. You still got to score. Like, if you average at 18 during the regular season, we all know during the playoffs, your PPG got to come up at least 5. Dominate.
But in another interview, Shaq felt Simmons needs training camp more than ever because he has a responsibility to improve his game first and foremost. Coming at it from a different angle, former NBA champion with Boston Celtics, Kendrick Perkins, spoke candidly about how other teams might be put off by his antics at Philly. He said,
"If I'm a team that's trading for Ben, honestly, I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, hey, I don't know what will happen if we get him over here and things doesn't go his way or he underperforms or..."
And what makes that statement all the more complex is that in that same breath, Perk tells us that the 76ers are going to want some serious pieces in return. Perkins continued with,
"But I'm here to tell the world right now, look, Philadelphia, and I've been saying this for weeks, the front office and the ownership are not trading Ben Simmons for just anything. They want an all-NBA caliber player or MVP caliber player for Ben Simmons."
According to him, and it seems everyone else, the organization is willing to hold out and see what the landscape looks like a year from now if they have to. After all, they have Simmons under contract until 2025. The main issue for Philly right now is who is available that is good enough for a fair trade, but not good enough that another team thinks that Simmons won't be an upgrade. Lillard trade rumors swell, but is it really feasible that Portland would ever trade Lillard for Simmons? Absolutely not. This kind of rhetoric leaves Simmons and Philadelphia between a rock and a hard place, as they both appear to be somewhat stagnant. Former Clippers player Matt Barnes commented on the issue, claiming he knew that they were at a point of no return after the people in the locker started speaking up.
At this point, I mean, it's going to be who's going to budge first, which is crazy because I heard he's losing like $300,000 per something. So I don't know if that's per day or per week, but it's going to get ugly, and hopefully they can get him out and just let him have a fresh start, because that bridge is burned and it'll never be rebuilt.
A well-put point followed by an even more poignant one from three-time All-Star Gilbert Arenas, who blamed the 76ers for not taking responsibility for Simmons' development. And after all, is Arenas wrong?
They don't want to blame themselves for what he became, right? You're talking about a guy who's 6'11", can get to the basket anytime he wants. He's the point guard that's coming downhill, long, can jump. So really he's unguardable if his mentality was, I'm just gonna go out and score 40.
Ben Simmons was the first overall pick in the 2016 draft, and he came into the league with a great college points per game average and a monster rebounds average. Before that, at high school, Simmons was listed as the #1 power forward and the #1 player in the nation in 2015. So all of a sudden, the team who hasn't been capable of getting him to where he needs to be is going to just cut him loose? It's not like he hasn't fulfilled at least some of his potential. At only 25 years of age and 6'11", his defense is ferocious, becoming NBA steals leader in 2020. He still managed to win Rookie of the Year in 2018 and has made 3 All-Star appearances. But is it enough to warrant a move for a star player who is shining in the same position? We'll see.